Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Once again, we've got a great lineup to discuss. Let's take a look at the things that are on the table for Sports Extra today. We'll start off with cricket as usual, and in cricket, it's news that is making headlines, but mixed opinions coming from everyone. Now, what has happened is that first of all, Mccullum has been appointed as the new head coach for the English Test side. England have won just one of their past 17 matches. Mccullum played 101 Test matches for New Zealand, scoring more than 6,000 runs in his Test career. Successful for New Zealand, superb performer when it comes to cricket. Any format, Mccullum is the person to look at. And then, of course, if you look at his league cricket career as well, county cricket, it's been highly successful. But a class, I think the aggression, modern day aggression in Test cricket, be it the positive approach that was needed, Mccullum has done and conquered it all. But England Test cricket is in shambles right now. They have replaced their captain. Ben Stokes is now the new skipper of the English Test side, but they want to restore their lost glory, especially after the Ashes. It's been complete tarnish and annihilation. So when can they rebuild from this, and will they be able to rebuild? Only time will tell. But the ECB has made it official that Mccullum is joining them as their Test head coach. Moving on to some news from our national circuit as well. Bisma Maroof, our captain of the women's cricket team, her daughter has been denied accreditation for the Commonwealth Games. PCB asked the Commonwealth to accredit Bisma's mother and daughter. Bisma was put in a difficult situation by the Commonwealth rules. PCB's maternity policy already allows Bisma to travel with the support personnel to take care of her daughter. Now, I understand, I think it's a huge sacrifice that our players, not only female but the male side, make. But on the female side, being a mother, in motherhood, it becomes even greater. So I think that needs to be respected, as the PCB did allow Bisma to travel with a support person. She was taking her mother along to care for her daughter. I think should have been the case with the Commonwealth. But at the same time, I don't think I can criticize the Commonwealth, because I think they've got their own rules and regulations. If they're not allowing the support or her daughter to be part of the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham 2022 on the ground, on designated areas, I think they're justified on their own self as well. But it can be reviewed. I think on humanitarian grounds, it can be reviewed. Then, of course, moving on to football, English Premier League action, where Tottenham Hotspur have beaten Arsenal to close in on the top four. Conte has told Arteta to stop complaining so much. Philippe Coutinho has joined Aston Villa permanently. De Bruyne has scored 4 against Wolves. And it's been great news from the world of football. Then, of course, moving on, some more things to discuss on Sports Extra. A couple of more updates from the world of sports as well, where Iga Swiatek has beaten Victoria Azarenka in Rome, 25th consecutive win for Swiatek. Serena Williams holds the record for most consecutive victories. She's going to face Bianca Andreescu in the quarterfinals. Bianca Andreescu, of course, one better tennis player we've seen coming up the ranks, so unfortunately been sidelined for a couple of tournaments, but the Canadian is ready to come back strong. She's been practicing for this, and she's ready to take on Iga Swiatek. That's what we've got on the show today. Time now to introduce our guest for cricket. First of all, we've been joined by cricket commentator and our cricket expert, K. Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Wa alaikum assalam, I'm good, thank you.
Good to have you on the show, sir. First of all, I think it's huge news. Let's just, before we discuss this any further, let's just look back at where English Test cricket has been for the past couple of months, and especially a year.
Well, that's right. You know, we've been discussing that the English team is not performing up to the mark, actually, and you know that what happened in the Ashes, actually. All the English cricketers, the former Test cricketers, they were criticizing the leading abilities of Joe Root. That was a question mark. Because, yes, in fact, being an individual, he's a fantastic guy. He's with the bat, he's good, and you know, we were discussing his bowling stats as well, especially in Ashes. And after losing in the West Indies, all the critics, all the writers and all the analysts, they were talking about that what's wrong actually. So the issue was that the right person for the right job, that was the issue in England as well. And people were criticizing on the coaching staff as well. So initially they've taken a step, and they've asked, they actually did not ask, I'm sorry, they did not ask the captain to step down, but
he opted to step down.
Yes, he has taken this decision.
Do you agree with the notion? Because I think if we look at it on a broader perspective, the thing was that what people have claimed, certain sports journalists, cricket analysts, what they've said is that because England has been so much focused on white ball cricket, they've lacked that test ability and those quality players who could be those proper test cricketers. Is that true?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Why actually, if you talk about their white ball cricket, they're the champion of the World Cup of 50 overs World Cup 2019, and the way they played, and even they played in T20 World Cup as well, and they're the runners up there. And if you see their performances, if you talk about their individuals, Ben Stokes, Johnny Bairstow, Josh Butler, and then David Malan.
He was even tried in Test cricket.
Yes. So all of them, they were really good in the white ball cricket.
Right.
They're really good smashers.
And now new era, new captain Ben Stokes, aggressive captain. We all remember that test match that he won against Australia. I think one of the best test match that I've witnessed in the modern era, single-handedly winning them the game and keeping their hopes alive. Apart from that, Brendan McCullum now joins in that bunch when we talk about the new setup in English Test cricket.
Yeah, actually, I'm giving you an idea that what's happening with the English cricket. You know, if you talk about their batting lineup, especially in red ball cricket, they do not have an authentic batter after the Joe route. Zach Crawley, and then we talk about the rest of the batters, even Josh Butler, Johnny Bairstow,
Hasib Hamid, Rory Burns,
all of them really ordinary batters. Why? They've digged out that why this is happening. This is happening because in last couple of years there were no quality cricket in the county, and that's why this season they brought all the stars from all over the world, and they're playing cricket with their domestic,
especially
cricketers. Pakistanis. And Ahmed, it's really important, that Zach Crawley, when he's facing a fast bowler with a speed of 70-75 in county cricket, how could he face in Australia facing Mitchell Starc?
90, yes.
Yeah, 90 plus even, and Josh Hazelwood and the Pat Cummins. And that's why, when Shaheen Shah Afridi is now bowling there, Haris Rauf is there, and the rest of the fast bowlers, if you talk about, he did not bat really against James Anderson or even their fast bowlers, the Chris Wokes. Jofra Archer, unluckily, he is not fit for a long time.
How do you rate him? I personally, on a personal scale, I'm a big fan of Jofra Archer.
Once again, I'm telling to our viewers that Brian Lara said the greatest batter, the legend, living legend Brian Lara said, in this planet, the only one bowler who could bowl in all the formats, the T20, Test, or either the ODI, and he is only the Jofra Archer and the Jasprit Bumrah. So he's a tremendous bowler, but unluckily he's not in the side. So, and now they're bringing a coach from New Zealand, and after a really long time, that they have tried several times, foreigner coaches, talk about Duncan Fletcher, talk about Andy Flower, talk about even Saklan Mushtaq. He was the assistant coach and the spin bowling coach. So lots of responsibilities on Brendan Mccullum. Brendan Barry Mccullum, scored the fastest century in the Test cricket against Australia in 2016 when it was his last year, and he is the only captain in the Test cricket who scored a century in his last Test match. So he's a fantastic guy, as you were telling in your intro that if you see his record, he brought new changes in New Zealand cricket. In 2015, they were in the best side in the finals. 2019, they were in the finals. And if you talk about their T20 class, yes, the plenty of players are there. So when he will be working as a coach, because he's right now he's working in IPL. And as a coach and as a mentor, he remained there. Now he's coming up, and I've seen a couple of videos, the analyst talking about that he was the best option for the English Test side. In his comprehensive interview, they came up that the 42 years of age guy, the really young guy, he will be working with the James Anderson, who's already 40. So I think I'm quite sure that it's not an easy task to bringing up.
But look at it this way: the Lions are asking the Kiwis to help them beat the Kangaroos. That's what they're trying to do. So, so it becomes really, really interesting. But to talk more on this, we've been joined now on Sports Extra by cricket expert and in his process of doing all his levels of coaching as well. He's focused there these days. Saeed Mohammad Awais. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam. How are you?
I'm very well. I hope you're enjoying your time in the heat, trying to learn all the art of coaching. But learning that art, now we've got a new head coach for the test side of England, Brendan Mccullum. How do you rate this?
It's first of all, it's scorching heat here in Lahore. It was 45. I remember. I've seen the Pakistan team. Even the players are coming up for the camp, which is going to be held up for the West Indies, which is going on great over here in the High Performance Centre. Interesting to know that the English cricket, I mean, especially they have got the services of Mccullum as the coach. I remember Mccullum. He basically brought the aggression in the New Zealand team, what was missing in the New Zealand, and he has done a lot for the team as a captain, as a player, and even he's doing great with the recently going on one of the, I would say, franchise cricket. He has been situated with them, and he has been doing well with the Knight Riders. But the real concern again for me, it's not having Mccullum in the test squad for England. It's the test squad of England, because if you just go back a little bit early, I mean, the English were known basically more for the test cricket. I mean, the way they used to play test cricket, they were more a test nation. But gradually, 5-6 years, I mean, they have changed themselves to white ball cricket. They have one of the best teams in the one day, in the T20. They have got one of the world class players. But the test team would be a real challenge for Mccullum. But it's again, I would say, it's the job. The media of the England, they really need to question the selectors, the management, what they're trying to do actually. If you remember, Ahmed Bhai, they have gone through 5 or 6 openers they have changed for the test matches. Still, they haven't been able to find a good opener for the England team. They have got a strong English county season. They have got strong, I would say, structure where they could find some places. But unfortunately, they have gone way far from the test cricket in the batting I'm talking about. So it would be a real challenge for Mccullum. How does he cope up with this situation?
It's very interesting Awais mentions that point, Asif, that because we were treated to such class and quality English players, that now we feel that there is a huge lack of potential and quality there. Let's be very frank, the openers have lacked quality, consistency. We've seen the time of Sir Alistair Cook and Andrew Strauss there, who dominated. We saw Jonathan Trott, Kevin Peterson, Ian Bell, even Taylor to an extent. Unfortunate that he had to say goodbye to cricket due to health issues. Then of course Matt Pryor would hang in, Andrew Flintoff. I mean, that greatest English side that we've ever seen. Now, I think the situation becomes a bit similar with Pakistan cricket, where they would never thought about those replacements, never thought about players who would probably come into the test side. I'm not talking about the white ball side, because they've got many players there. So that void probably that was created was never able to be filled. Only Joe Root was the prime prospect. Asif.
Yeah, well, actually, if you talk about the really important, as I mentioned earlier, that if you see there, as Awais was saying, that where was the problem, and where Brendan Mccullum as coach, because possibly he'll be joining the next week, and they will be facing New Zealand in the next month. So if you see the comparison of these two teams, and that as you're asking that the replacements of the players, it's really important. You talk about Jonathan Trott or Ian Bell or the Kevin Peterson, Andrew Flintoff. I mean, huge side, really big side, and now we're hardly taking up 3-4 names in the test side especially. So that would be a good challenge, and that would be a challenging task for Brendan Mccullum, and I'm quite sure that he'll be working, because if we talk about no quality spinners, even I was discussing to one of my friends that could you see any spinner after Ashley Giles or Monty Panesar? They
Graham
do have
Swan even after.
Yeah, Graham Swan, the one of the best off spinners in the world. So still they're missing. Yes, Jack Leach is there, but if you see the average is 32.
They tried Moeen Ali, tried Adil Rashid.
Moeen Ali is coming up with the 38. Once again, Adil Rashid is really good in the white ball cricket. Still the question mark that either he's good with the red ball or not. And yes, they are still working on that. They got a really good structure, as Awais is mentioning, because when they lost in 2015 against Bangladesh, they've tried, and they've trying to make up the pitches.
But Asif, there have been players who have come in. Even in the fast bowling department, they've tried the Curran brothers. They've tried all kinds of options. But I don't know, every player I see, even if you don't, I think if you see the first over of him bowling or batting, you'll realize that it's a white ball cricketer. Straight away you'll realize.
I mean, if you talk about white ball cricket, T20, then the 100 ball, then the, they're on ODIs. So they're more focusing on that. And see, their players are going to the IPL, some of their players coming for the PSL, Big Bash, each and everything is there because this is concerning with the white ball cricket. And that's why they're pretty much concerned that because the large number of the white ball cricket matches and it's happening, and now they're focusing on their red ball cricket because the New Zealand, they're already the champions. They beat India last year in the final of the World Test Champion, and they're more focused that they want result. Even there won't be, it's not easy. Even after getting defeat from West Indies and Australia, and all of your players in the pressure, even your captain was in the pressure and he resigned, and you got a new captain. Now you're getting new coach. So lots of responsibilities on Mccullum, Brendan Mccullum, but he's a fantastic guy. If you see his record being a captain, if you see his record as a player and even as a coach, is doing fantastic job.
Yeah.
Is a really strong CV.
Definitely.
And I think it's a really good choice for the English Cricket Board that their red ball cricket is in hot water and they brought new faces.
Definitely. So Mohammad Awais, as Asif said, that it's a good option. They've got a new captain, new coach. How do you see the future for English Test cricket? Because they need to keep that sanctity. They've been known for being a quality Test side. That's why English cricket has flourished so much. Somewhere, like we say, focus has been on T20, on one days, and they've lost Test cricket in between, unlike Australia, who've kept all three formats alive. And of course, finally, do you think Misbah-ul Haq did not apply in that category?
See, Ahmed bhai, one thing, I mean, if you just compare the English team, I know that leagues around the world have really disturbed the test momentum of any team. I mean, if you just watch out any team in the world, they do have some disturbance with them because, like, even if example of Australia, I know it's a totally different side in the test matches, but you can see that the way you were mentioning, I mean, when you talk to Asif, that you see some aggression a T20 player when he's playing a test match, but that aggression, even the T20 aggression does carry in the test matches nowadays. The batsmen try to score frequent quick runs, I would say. The real concern for me, it was that if you just, the way I spoke out, I mean, in the early, the English team were known more into a test match, more a red ball cricketer. When you play club cricket over there, when you play Premier League over there, when you play major county, you could have seen players were actually more reluctant to 4-day or 3-day cricket. There were no T20 players for them. I mean, they were not more interested in it. But unfortunately, around the globe, if you just watch out, more publicity, more branding of T20 has actually hurt test players over there. Even like you mentioned about Karan, I remember any player who has been, even Nick Compton, remember they tried to get Nick Compton. He was one of the leading scorers in the season. He was tried for English team, even he flopped on. So there has been problems with the batting, especially of England. Bowling has been a good one for them. I know Anderson has been performing, Broad has been performing. But if you look at the future plans of England, they would struggle when these guys would retire because they're on the urge of retirement. So they would struggle in that too. So it would be a real concern for Mccullum, and especially it's a question mark again for Strauss, I would say. He has been...
But Awais, I'm sorry, but as a coach now, because you're in that field, how do you then differentiate that mindset? Because that becomes the most important question, that these young kids, that young generation who is so inspired by the brand of aggressive cricket, how do you inspire that mindset that once you go into the 5-day format, the complete mindset becomes different?
See, Ahmed bhai, I mean, if you just compare a guy who has played a lot of T20 matches, who has played even, I would say, 60 matches for Pakistan, but a real challenge is your test cricket. I mean, where you get a player to groom himself. I mean, he goes through ups and downs through the pressure situation. Unfortunately, you rightly pointed up, even when you're training a kid in the academy and you ask him that, what's your mindset? What do you want to go for? I mean, do you want to play Quaid-e-Azam Trophy? Do you want to play 4-day cricket? You need to be this kind of a bowler. And what he says is that, no, nowadays you have got more publicity, you have got more fame in the T20. It's a shorter format. I would love to go for T20. The real problem again arises is that there's not a specific place for the cricket nowadays. I mean, the cricket board need to come up that they need to squeeze the players to play regular T20 formats. They need to at least decrease that thing, because you have given a green signal to all the players. Every cricket board has given a green signal to all the players that go whatever you want to do in the T20. You can go around the world and play T20. Just leave off the 4-day cricket. It's a relaxation that no worries. If you don't play the 4-day cricket, you will be selected in the test matches.
Definitely.
So
it's up to you. Very, very adamantly put. I think that is the case, that we see that boards are now encouraging players to follow that path. But I think the first order of business for Brendan McCullum, as he comes in as the England Test head coach, would be to actually create a unit that can represent the English side and represent with honor and dignity, because they have had problems, and differentiate between the T20 one days and the test players, because that was English cricket was the first one to probably appoint different captains for these formats, but they then struggled. So I think instead of having those T20 cricketers playing test cricket, what they need to do now is differentiate between a test side. Probably that should be the focus. That being said, moving on to more things, but first we've got a report on Brendan McCullum and him being appointed as the head coach for test cricket for England. Let's take a look and then move on.
Brendan McCullum, the former New Zealand captain, has been confirmed by the England Cricket Board as England men's new Test head coach on a 4-year deal. McCullum played 101 tests for New Zealand between 2004 and 2016, scoring 6,453 runs at 38.64, with the highest score of 302 against India in 2014, which remains the only triple century made by a New Zealander. Although he has never before taken charge of a red ball team in his coaching career, McCullum was the New Zealand captain 31 tests from 2013 until his retirement. McCullum said in a press release, "I'd like to say how pleased I am to be given this opportunity to positively contribute to England's test cricket, set up and move the team forward into a more successful era. The challenge of lifting England's test cricket from rock bottom instead of a cushy role with limited oversight is what attracted Brendan McCullum to his first red ball coaching job." McCullum added that it was vital for the health of Test cricket in England, who have just won one of their last 17 matches, were strong in the format. The 4-year deal he has signed will take him up to the end of the 2025 and 26 Ashes in Australia. This move could prove to be a masterstroke as a chance to address head-on the listlessness that has defined England's Test endeavours in precisely the same time frame as New Zealand's standards have soared.
There you have it, all you need to know about that new signing for England cricket. Now moving on, we do know that it is a concern on the national front, and obviously it is for the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham 2022, where our captain of the women's side, Bisma Maroof, has been denied accreditation for her daughter, and of course the support that travels with her, because PCB's parental policy says that a support can travel with Bisma and can take care of her daughter, and the daughter can travel too. So it's a bit of a concern. We'll try to address this as constructively as we can in this segment. Asif, your take on this, but before that, you've got insight into whether Misbah applied or not.
Look, you always really naughty concerning this about Misbah and Waqar. I'm not going into the details, honestly. But, if you got, dual responsibilities and good salary, yes, must go there.
So I guess he didn't want to be Test head coach. He wanted to be batting, bowling.
Selector there.
Well, I'll move on to Bisma Maroof. What do you think about that?
First of all, I really appreciate the PCB, the way they brought this policy, and that a support person could travel, either the father or either the mother, or maybe your husband or your spouse whatsoever. And actually the former CEO Wasim Khan, he brought this policy, and if you see that a person or a player like Bisma Maroof and getting kid with herself under 12 months, under a year, and PCB supporting you and giving you the sponsorship to the sponsor, to the spouse or mother or whatsoever. So I think first of all you have to appreciate the policies of PCB, because they are really players friendly.
Absolutely.
Now if you're coming towards Commonwealth Games and they're not giving the accreditation to the Bisma Maroof's daughter, and her daughter was pretty much common in the previous World Cup, where Bisma Maroof coming up in even bringing a daughter in the dressing room as well. So I think that they would have to follow their policies, and I don't think so that they are not giving accreditation to the daughter of Bisma Maroof, because she's she's common. She's really, I think,
young.
Just 8 or 9 months of age.
Yes, I get it. The age factor might be concerning. Yeah.
And I don't think so that it's only Bisma Maroof. Might be more of the players, if they're coming up with their kids, they're not getting the accreditation,
but you mentioned,
because they would have to follow their policies.
But you mentioned a very interesting point that Wasim Khan was instrumental in that policy. He's now the GM in the ICC, so probably the policy over there can change. Avais, your final thoughts on this entire scenario that is going on?
See, one thing is good about the Pakistan Cricket Board that, like even you both were mentioning on, it's up to the choice of the player who wishes to carry her mother, husband, or whatever it is. I mean, on a trip where she's going to play and serving the Pakistan duties. And a good thing is that when she comes back after the maternity leave, she's offered with a personal coach for personal fitness who takes care of her. Unfortunately, Commonwealth, what you both were discussing on what I have known from our sources and what I was reading on the net, it was that the Commonwealth actually have requested the Pakistan Cricket Board to squeeze your squad, remove two personals to accommodate Bisma's daughter and whoever she's going to take, her mother especially. So the Pakistan Cricket Board have denied that we can't squeeze the squad. So, I mean, because Bisma Maroof, her daughter, like even you both were mentioning on, she was one of the, I would say, eye catcher in the World Cup. Everyone was the way they were, the Indian team, remember the way they were playing with her kid and all that. So this is one of the, I would say, policies what Pakistan Cricket Board and the other cricket boards, they do implement. And I think so the Commonwealth and the ICC would obviously have a talk with the Pakistan Cricket Board and they can sort that out and she would go with her mother, inshallah.
Definitely, that would be the case. Like we said, that there is still room that probably a decision can be taken. Said Mohammad Awais, thank you very much for joining us. Kiasif, thank you to you as well for joining us. On that note, we'll go towards a short break. When we come back, we're discussing football. Stay tuned. Right, welcome back to Sports Extra. Time now to discuss football in detail. The English Premier League, it is getting exciting. It is getting nail-biting with every passing day. The English Premier League is giving us all the action that we need from the world of football in league football. And especially if we talk about some of the recent games, Tottenham Hotspur have been able to outclass Arsenal. And it was a superb performance indeed, and to an extent where Conte saying that maybe Arteta should stop whining about it is really interesting as well. But that and much more, even the transfer news and everything that is happening, we'll discuss it further. We've been joined on Sports Extra by football expert and anchor Syed Jafar. Assalamu alaikum, Jafar, how are you?
Wa alaikum salam. How are you? How's everything?
I'm great to have you. What would you like to say about certain days that are going on with the English Premier League? Like I said, it's getting very exciting and nerve-biting these days.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to see how the top on. We had yesterday Tottenham played against Arsenal. It was a game which was very anticipating for both teams because they need points to secure the top four spot this year around. And again, we also see that it's very difficult for Liverpool to keep up with the pace of Manchester City as they played against Newcastle. And they had a very amazing game after their knockout from the Champions League. That was also something we were not expecting, but yeah, that happened. And then again, City confirmed the signing of Erling Haaland. We might just talk about it again. So all these things happening in the Premier League is just showing the class of this league and how it is way more ahead of all the other leagues in the Europe.
Arsenal and Arteta a bit frustrated with last night's performance?
Yeah, I think they basically had a very difficult season in the start, but they came up with a good plan in the middle of the season, and then they continued and they came up in the table and they performed really well. But the game itself was not very much good for Arsenal, considering the performance of their players. I think the red card from Arsenal, which they got in the first half by Rob Holding, was very much justified, and then I think that was the breaking point for Tottenham Hotspur. And Harry Kane was amazing in the game. He scored a brace, and then Son scored a good goal at the end of the day. And 3-0 it was for Tottenham Hotspur. And I think Conte is basically showing that he's not only a manager who can be good in the cup tournaments, but he can also be good in the league. And this shows his worth.
Do you believe that Conte is one of those managers, like you mentioned, that he can be great in this league, but all is there that give him time, give him the transfer window that he needs. A lot of reliance in this club has been on Kane and his partner as well, but now probably is the time where Conte can look towards that small restructuring before the start of the next season.
I think look. The day Tottenham shifted to this new stadium was the day they mentioned that they are going to have less funds for the next coming transfer windows because they spent a huge amount of money in building this new stadium. And I think that was the reason they couldn't buy a lot of players, unlike the other clubs we have in the top of the Premier League. So I think now it's been 3 years they moved to this stadium, and their chairman Levy should really bring out the kitty bag and just give a lot of money to Conte, because there is a need for the restructuring at the back of the team. We see that their defenders, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, they're old, and you cannot just replace like small players week in, week out. You need big players, big defenders playing in the Premier League, because again, if they qualify for the Champions League, it's going to be way more difficult than right now, because they're playing in Conference League. So if they go to Champions League, it's going to be Champions League, Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup. It's going to be a lot. So yeah, they really need a lot of players next season.
Definitely, that would be the case. I think that's a brilliant point when you mentioned where that kitty is going to go in terms of getting the required players that they need. Now, I think the other big news is Coutinho joining Aston Villa permanently. Your thoughts about that?
I think it's amazing to see how the market goes up and then suddenly it goes down. A player like Haaland is coming to City for half of the price which Barcelona paid for Ousmane Dembele and Coutinho 3 or 4 years ago, or even United paid for Pogba like 5 years ago. So it's all depending on how the player is playing, and all these small moves were not really good for Coutinho. So I think he needed a boost, so he just came to Aston Villa. He's going to get like some play time, definitely more than what he had in his previous club. So not a very good move for I think Coutinho in terms of his caliber. But again, you need a push start at some point, because when your career is going down, you don't really care about going to a big club, but you care about getting game time, and that's what I think Coutinho needs at this point.
Well, all the talk in the Premier League has been about Haaland coming to City, and 60 million release clause being paid, £375,000 per week. How do you think this is going to impact the English Premier League, especially Manchester City?
I think. See, Ahmed, it's justified, because if you look at the wages United is paying, it's crazy. They're paying a lot of money to like 6 players. It's like 300 plus for 6 players at United's camp, and City is not playing a lot of players with high wages. So if they're bringing a player like Haaland, who is very young, and he's going to be surrounded by one of the best midfielders you can have in the Premier League, and that's Kevin De Bruyne. So I think it's also going to boost up his own game, and it's also going to help City's camp, because so far we see that City is the highest goal-scoring team in the Premier League without a striker. Like half of the game they go without a striker. Like they started to play Gabriel after January. Before that, they were just playing false nine with a makeshift strikers. So I think if this guy stays week in, week out, like Aguero used to do 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I think it's going to bring a leap of change in the City's game, because like the last game they had against Madrid, I think in the last 20 minutes they needed a striker, because they lack a person in the box who can finish at the end of the game. So Haaland coming in with the likes of De Bruyne behind him, I think this is going to be crazy. Like, yeah, this is going to be crazy.
Crazy and interesting indeed. But Jafar, thank you very much for joining us on Sports Extra. Always great having you on the show. Right, that was Sayyid Jafar, and as he's highlighted, it's getting crazy. It's going to get crazier when we move on as well. But interesting how the English Premier League is unfolding. I think next season is going to be probably even more interesting, with all the manager talks and everything happening, new players coming in, things changing. It's going to be an impact football for the world, who actually is following league football, and the English Premier League will always be a touch apart from other leagues around the world as well. On that note, that's all we have time for. But before we go, we've got something very special on the world of tennis and what's happening in Rome. It's been absolutely carnage. It's been superb tennis being played. We'll leave you at that from me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now, but take a look at this report on tennis.
top-ranked Iga Swiatek was tested before pulling out a 6-4, 6-1 victory over former number 1 Victoria Azarenka to reach the Italian Open quarterfinals and extend her winning streak to 25 matches. Azarenka took a 3-0 lead before Swiatek won 5 straight games in a grueling first set that lasted 1 hour and 20 minutes. The defending champion in Rome, Swiatek is attempting to win her 5th straight tournament. The last player to win more consecutive matches was Serena Williams, who had a streak of 27 in a row over 2014 and 2015. Swiatek's run makes her a favourite to win a second French Open when the year's second Grand Slam gets underway in 10 days. Swiatek will next face 2019 US Open champion Bianca Andreescu, who eliminated Croatian qualifier Petra Martic.